Hello, G.U.A.R.D.S gamers. So today I wanted to talk to you about the rules that we are making for solo play. So we're going through the steps to make sure that those of you that don't have somebody to play with, using the G.U.A.R.D.S rule system, that you can get some more games in and maybe play test your army as as things have changed in the world. And a lot of you aren't able to get out, or you're not close to your favorite local game store to start up a play group, but you still want to, spend some time on the table, get some stuff done, see what's going on. So what we've done is we've made a rough outline here for the G.U.A.R.D.S rule system, where we want you to be able to take the armies that you have, take the terrain that you have, if you have a play area to play in, or maybe you're at a store, and maybe it's a good way to get somebody into playing by seeing you play it solo, and then maybe they might want to jump in and take over an army. You never know. You know what's going through people's minds at these game stores. I mean, we're nerds after all. Anything could be happening. So we broke it down into several phases. So the first phase is, even when you're playing a two-player game, we want to make it the same as playing the single-player game, right? So the first phase is defining the play area, whether you're playing on a 4x4, 4x6 area on your G.U.A.R.D.S gaming tabletopper. What you want to do is you want to take the terrain that you want to use, stuff a third of the table with the terrain, right? So just stuff it all in. This is terrain I want to play with. I'm going to stuff it all into that. And then one way that you could do it is that each player usually would take turns placing the terrain, so nobody has an advantage once you get all the terrain out. But solo, you don't have that. So we've made it a little bit easier so that you can, define, what type of buildings, what location you're going to be in. Is it out in the desert? Is it going to be in a forest? Is it going to be in a ruined city? It all depends. So you want your scenic elements to be, engrossing, and you want to limit the number of buildings to that 1/3 area still. And then once that area is defined, then you spread them out till it's aesthetically pleasing to you. And you also have to define, is there any special rules for like crossing rivers? Is this terrain impassable? All the things you would do, in a normal game. As you know, we only have 3 terrain variables for defense, and that's cover 1, cover 2, and cover 3, right? So cover 1, it's if it's a crater or light terrain cover. Cover 2 is if it's a wall, or something more substantial, behind a car. And cover 3, are you inside a building and you're really hard to get at, right? So those give you your defense bonuses, and you want to think about that when you're laying out your terrain. And consider, like I said, any special rules. Is this terrain, a swamp, so vehicles can't get through, or infantry can't get through? Is it a river that can't be crossed because it's too deep? It's not, you can't wade across it. Also consider any kind of special objectives that you may have. Do I want to take a bridge? Do I have to, rescue somebody? But that can be covered in our next phase. Designing your scenario, right? So in the rule books, whether it's Shattered Crown or Empire's Fall, you have scenario conditions in the back, right? Things you have to achieve based upon what you're doing. So do you want to rescue a downed pilot, which is a popular one? That's one objective, besides just annihilating your enemy, which seems to be the go-to scenario, right, when you first start playing. Is there a convoy that has to cross the map? Do you have to get to a certain location and clear out an area in the enemy's base as an objective? Do you have to make it across, one point, that's a bridge? All of these objectives are defined after the terrain and stuff is set out, and you have your objective markers placed, which come with your token sets, right? So if there's a special scenario, that you want to play, add that in as your second step as you're thinking about laying out your single player game. So you have to keep that in mind as you place the terrain, or you place it and it's just, if it's in a hard area, it's just part of the difficulty of the scenario. Step 3 is what army? In phase 3, what army do you want to face off against? Do you want a straight up historical scenario, or do you want to do it weird war the way we like to play it? With some more fantastical items on the field, with your Tesla tanks and your death rays and all that kind of stuff. Defining your forces will help you also maybe come up with a scenario. If you have a convoy but you don't have any trucks, it's going to be a little bit harder. So look at the miniatures that you have in your collection, what you have in your army, as you're laying that out. The next part of that logically would be to define what your enemies' forces have. Not only what your army is, but who you're going to face, and what kind of difficulty do you want them to be to you. And that also could depend on the scenario that you're playing too. Do you want to have your enemy be a static defense line where they're just lined up and you have to overcome them? Do you want a force that's located in one specific place, like inside the building? Do you want them to start off the board? And then, is it more dynamic than that? Will they have to follow a special rule to do something, to overcome you? So when you are thinking about your enemy forces that you're going to overcome, there's a couple of variables, when it comes to those type of setups. So once again, this will all be predetermined by the roles that you have, right? So when you're setting up, you'll still be using the same mechanics that you use in the regular rules. They'll still be 10Ds based. Only the decisions that your enemy forces will be making will be based on a roll of a D10, right? So when you are going up against your enemies, their actions will be based on the dice rolls, right? So if you have, let's say, you roll your D10 and you roll a 3, and then the 3 determines that your enemy moves forward and advances. Well, you want to play it as if it's advancing, not just blindly like a robot, like the droids in Star Wars, but maybe there's a piece of cover within his movement range that he's going to move to. So you're always going to try to give them, the advantage that you would logically think somebody would make in that situation. So we're laying out the system, we're designing it so that it's just as easy as can be, because like I said, the rules for guards are beer and pretzels. It's not really super complicated. It's not rocket science, but it's made to have fun, right? Each player needs to be able to have fun, and even when you're playing with yourself, you want to be able to have a fun little scenario. So we're laying that out. We're going to get that out to you ASAP. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it as much as we enjoyed putting it together. Remember, like, share, subscribe, do all the things, but most of all, happy gaming.